Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat right here on ET Now, show where we get you all the stocks buzzing based on news flow as well as on technicals. And talking about technicals, now you have Foram M.Chheda joining us on the show. Very good afternoon to you, Foram. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And the first stock that you're going to talk about is TCS. Today we've seen actually the IT companies take it a bit easy. But TCS, how are the charts looking for this large cap player?
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. Well, speaking about TCS, one is the overall industry has been picking up a lot of momentum in the past 1 week to 10 days. Now, technically speaking about TCS, we have seen that the stock has actually given a good breakout from its resistance level of around 3,550. Thereafter, the stock has been just moving up in a very gradual manner. Today also the stock is up, and along with that, if you look at a weekly closing as of last week, it did give a positive closing and a very strong closing. So thus it invites buying opportunities also at current levels. Thus overall, when we talk about the trend, it is forming higher tops and higher bottoms from its consolidation phase. Now it has attempting to change its trend and start moving up. And secondly, when we talk about the volumes, there is good increase in volume at the breakout. So overall, the stock looks attractive to buy at current levels. Just maintain a stop loss at around 3530, and it's suggested that one can even look at adding at around 3550 levels also, and look for a target of closer to 3700.
Okay, let's move on and talk about Maharashtra Scooters then. And Harsh, why is this one in focus? What's the news flow?
Well, yes, as expected, Maharashtra Scooters has declared dividend. Vinny, 110 rupees a share is the dividend which has been declared. In fact, the stock is up 26% over the last 1 month, really giving a stellar set of returns, and therefore this dividend yield has actually come in far lower than what the stock, largely due to the stock run up. But overall it looks like a solid dividend, because over the last year or so the stock or the company has given a dividend of 160 rupees for the full year of FY23, so 110 rupees of dividend declared. We also have details with regard to the record date 29 September and the credit date, which is 13th of October. Mark out those dates. Maharashtra Scooters in focus on the back of that.
Let's move on to the next one, and that is Capacity Infra. That one is in focus as the company has actually announced that they have received an order from the realty division of Raymond Limited, and this is for a total contract value of 281 crore rupees. Now, Capacity Infra Projects Limited has received this repeat order. This is a repeat order from Raymond Limited, and obviously on the back of this is a Thane project of Raymond Limited, which they've received the order for. So keep an eye out on this one. The stock is buzzing in trade today, trading with gains of 2.3% as of now.
All right, moving on, let's talk about Indigo Paints then, and that particular counter is in focus in today's trading session. They informed the exchanges that the manufacturing facility that they have in Tamil Nadu has actually commenced commercial operations, and after that they've also said that the manufacturing facility has a capacity to produce over 50,000 kiloliters per annum of water-based paint products. So on back of that, you have Indigo Paints that is in focus. No doubt the stock is doing absolutely nothing right now, but you can see the spike on your screens. That's when the announcement had just trickled in for the stock.
Okay, let's move on and talk about AIA Engineering. Forum, when you look at it, this one has seen a very good run up in the last 6 months, but since the last week we're seeing a slight bit of a correction coming in there. So is it time that we could see a consolidation coming in here, and should one start booking out their profits?
Absolutely. Now the stock has already moved up in the past 6 months, but if you look at the past 2 to 3 months, the stock was first facing a lot of resistance at around 3,500 to around 3,510. Now, along with the market momentum, we saw that the resistance level was easily taken out, and the stock had moved up closer to around 3,800 odd. Now, in the past, rather I would say in the last week, we saw a bit of a correction coming in. It's a decline, or I would say more from a technical term as a retracement. Now, this retracement has reached and tested the breakout level, which was earlier a resistance and now has become a support. Along with that, there has been a 50-day moving average also, which indicates there is a very strong support level at around 3,500 to around 3,520. Thus, after that, we've seen a good rebound. Currently, the stock price is at around 3,655. So it becomes a good buy at these levels since it's consolidating. One should even look at maintaining a stop loss near 3490 levels, just below the support levels, and can look for an upside target of closer to 3,009.
All right, so that is AIA Engineering. Ankita, let's talk about Dhanlakshmi Bank. Why is this in the news?
Cheryl, Dhanlakshmi Bank, very interestingly, what kind of moves that the stock is seen in today's trading session. Currently, the stock has recovered, after plunging a good 9% in trade, which has been its biggest intraday percentage drop since December 2022. Now, that came in following the exit of Sridhar Kalyan Sundaram, who is an independent director who cited differences with the board, on matters including the bank's rights issue and the capital position. And on the back of that, we did see that, drop in the share prices, but the shares bounced back, more than 5.5% higher at around 30 rupees at around 1:30 p.m. and currently the stock is actually running up. It is up 9.7% in trade, 9.5% in trade right now.
Surely keeping an eye out on Dhanlakshmi Bank. Let's move on and talk about Indian Bank on the charts then and Forum. PSU Bank, they have been rallying, but what is your view on Indian Bank? Is this rally going to continue for the company?
Well, absolutely. Like all the other PSU banks which have seen a rally, like PNB Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, etc., they have already rallied out. But Indian Bank is yet to even take off its resistance level. It is currently very close to those levels of around 415. Right now, whoever has missed out on the PSU banks is also getting a chance to get into one of the stocks in the PSU space. So that Indian Bank is very much suitable. The overall trend continues to remain up since it's forming higher tops and higher bottoms and remains above multiple moving averages. Thus, it's a good buy at current levels. Maintain a stop loss below 383 levels and can look for a higher target of closer to 440.
All right, moving on then, let's talk about five-star business. Harsh, why is this in the news today?
Yes, so we've got a couple of block deals coming through for 5-star on Friday, and what's happened is SCHF PV Mauritius Limited has sold roughly 30.2 lakh shares of 5-star at $700 a piece. Essentially, the buyer is Small Cap World Fund Inc., which has bought all of those shares at a similar value. And you're seeing good interest in 5-star at the moment. Let me also take it to the holding of SCHF. SCHF actually held 1.2% in 5-star at the end of June 2023, and therefore they've virtually sold the entire shareholding that they have in 5-star. And of course, a Small Cap World Fund Inc. is the buyer, which already owns around 1.6% shares in 5-star. So they've increased their shareholding to around 1.85 odd percent. That's broadly the news on 5-star, which is keeping 5-star buzzing.
Let's move on and talk about AU Small Finance Bank. We have a couple of brokerage notes that have come in, and I'm going to talk especially the one that has come in from Now, they're maintaining a reduced rating on AU Small Finance Bank and given a target price of 650 rupees per share. What they're saying is that AU Small, this is according to reports that they're quoting, that AU Small Finance Bank may be looking to acquire Fincare Small Finance Bank to expand its product portfolio. Now, Fincare would add 15% to AU's FY23 AUM, and the merger would be a 4 to 6% book value accretive depending on the swap ratio as well. Largely, it is EPS neutral and the return on asset is dilutive, given that Fincare's depressed return on assets is there. So that could be something that will be dilutive for AU Small Finance Bank. Also, the downtrend in Fincare's PPOP profile over the past 3 years would and could cap the return on asset upside that the company could see going forward. So on the back of this, as of now, they're maintaining a reduced rating, target price of 650 rupees per share. And today, like you can see, the stock is a bit subdued in trade, down 0.3%.
All right, Forum, coming to you, Akshar Chem, a counter that we actually rarely talk about. How are the charts for this one looking like, and do you think that it's a good one to bet on right now, given the fact they've already seen a sharp rally over the last 1 to 2 months?
Well, we talk about particularly in this stock, the last 6 months the stock was clearly in a consolidation, and we have seen it has comparatively underperformed the benchmark index. Now, last month, the stock has moved from the levels of closer from 230 levels to closer to around 380. And from there, it's quite a steep up move. Now, from there, we've seen a correction coming in the past few trading sessions that is nearly around 38.2% retracements and has taken support and seen a bounce. So when there has been a bounce, it just shows the signs of resumption. Now, talking about volumes, there has been a good increase in volume when there was a steep rally coming in. So the stock has already made a breakout last month from this entire consolidation phase of 6 months. It's also retested that breakout level Along with that, when we talk about in the retracement perspective, it's taking support or retraced 38.2% and now seeing a bit of a bounce. Today, already the stock is up by nearly 6.5% now, but it yet remains a buy at current levels. Most importantly, it remains above the multiple moving averages, which are quite important when we talk about the overall trend. Thus, one can look at buying at current levels, maintain a stop loss below the levels of around 284 and look for a higher target of closer to 320.
All right, moving on, let's talk about Endurance Tech then, and that particular counter is in focus in today's trading session. You have a vendor Spark that has actually come out with a note where they've actually raised the recommendation on Endurance Tech to a buy rating from an ad rating that they previously had. Also, they set the target price at about 1,815 rupees per share, which implies about 10% increase from the last closing price for Endurance Tech. And as you can see on your screen, today the stock is also seeing a good day. It's trading higher by about 1.6%. And you have a vendor Spark that has actually gone ahead and upgraded the stock.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the next stock that is in focus on the back of technicals, and Dhampur Sugar is what you've picked out for us. Foram, what are the charts now indicating for Dhampur Sugar? In the last 1 month, 25% return, approximately 6 months also very strong returns. Still the up move is expected to continue?
Yes, absolutely. Technically speaking, in fact, last week on Thursday, it gave a breakout from its resistance level of around 294 to 295. Till then, it was yet in, I would say, sideward range. Although in percentage terms, it's given decent returns, but even when we talk about the trend and the momentum, it's yet picking up. On Friday, we saw a very consolidated move, and today the stock is now moved above the Thursday and the Friday's high, which indicates that there is some more momentum that is left into the stock. Thus, it is yet a buy at current levels, and most important are the volumes. So the breakout was backed by good volume, and now right now we can see a consistent increase in volume as well. So that is supporting the bullishness. So it's a buy at current levels, maintain a stop loss below the levels of 303 and can look for a higher target of closer to 340.
All right, moving on, Ankita, let's talk about L&T and why is this one in news today?
Sharon, L&T is in focus today on the back of its buyback. So L&T's the 10,000 crore share buyback opens today, and the investors can choose to tender their shares in buyback starting today until the 25th of September. Now, the buyback will be done via tender offer route, which means that the shareholders have to tender their shares at a particular price. Now, remember, L&T will be repurchasing the shares at a revised price of 3,200 rupees. Now, the company had raised the price of its buyback last week to 3,200 rupees from 3,000 rupees earlier, after the stock had actually run up a good 15% since the buyback announcement. And on the back of that, the L&T stock is going to be in focus today.
Let's move on and talk about another PSU bank that you picked out is Bank of India Forum. What are the charts indicating for this one, similar to Indian Bank?
Yes, completely on that. So, well, Bank of India has made a breakout. In fact, it had given a breakout at 90 levels from the downward sloping trend line. Now, since then, the stock is already up by nearly 22%. But there has been an exceptional increase in volume in the past 4 to 5 trading sessions also, which is supporting a lot of upside momentum in this stock. The overall trend continues to remain bullish as it remains above its multiple moving averages, and since it's a breakout from a trend line, it indicates that the momentum yet can continue further. Thus, it has a higher potential to move up. The one can look at buying the stock at current levels, add in a little more at a lower levels of closer to 105, can maintain a stop loss below the levels of 98 and can look for a target of closer to 125 to around 127.
All right, that's the review coming in on Bank of India. This one also getting a thumbs up like the rest of the PSU pack. But let's talk about the PSU sector as a whole. We spoke earlier to Atul Suri, who believes that the PSUs are at a decadal shift trend. And he said he would be happy to see some sort of a consolidation or a correction take place in these PSU counters, given the fact that they've seen a huge rally. But what else did he say of the rally? Listen in.
Best performing sector. And this was after a decade of underperformance. I mean, it was the most hated, shorted space in the world in India was actually PSU banks.
Yeah.
I mean, the trade of the decade was long HDFC Bank and short SBI, and when it turned. What's surprising me is that after a phenomenal 22, they're also having a very good 23. And that really shows that, yes, when decadal trends change, it doesn't end in a year. It actually gets elongated. In fact, the whole PSU basket, if you see, it's not just banks, it's defense stocks. It's a lot of these, infra kind of plays. These are like everyone, people who've been in the market for 20, 30 years have sworn we'll never buy PSUs. Because many times in their life they tried and they burned their fingers. They've given back 40, 50% drawdowns that have happened. And the market has again ways of surprising. So I think going with the trend, being humble, accepting what the market is telling you, that's what I have learned. So as Nikun said, the trend is your friend until the end when it bends.
Okay, let's move on and to stock number 34. And Harsh have picked out DB Realty for us. What's the news flow?
In fact, decadal high on the stock, 5% up today, 26% up over the last 1 month, really in focus, buzzing. Now, the news that's trickled through, just at the start of the show, in fact, was that it's completed an equity raise of 1544 crore and entered into a partnership with Adani Good Homes Private Limited, Godrej Residency, as well as others. So you're seeing a couple of positive factors play out. Also on Saturday, we had news trickling through that Rakesh Jhunjhunwala or Rekha Jhunjhunwala held share warrants have been converted into equity. So now Rekha Jhunjhunwala actually owns 5.6% in DB Realty versus the 1.2% pre-conversion. So a couple of news flows coming through, and you can see the stock up and away.
Okay, let's move on and talk about Restaurant Brands Asia. And why is this one in focus? It's on the back of a bulk deal that happened on Friday. What we saw happening was that QSR Asia has actually sold shares in the stock, and on the back of this, we're keeping an eye out on Restaurant Brand Asia. They sold almost 12.5 crore shares. Bulk deal that happened at a price of 119 rupees. Now we have the name of the seller. Buyer names are still not known or something on that front. But yes, QSR Asia is the one who sold, and on the back of that, we're seeing some pressure that is coming in on Restaurant Brand Asia.
All right, moving on, let's talk about Electra Green Tech then, Forum. How is this one looking on the charts to you? Because this one seems to have seen a roaring rally on back of the fact that we are seeing that shift towards EV, isn't it?
Yes. So, well, in this year, we have seen a stellar run in the stock since Feb to July. It's nearly run up nearly 280%. And now, since the past 1 month, we can see a bit of a retracement, or I would say more of a corrective decline. It's retraced nearly 40% of its entire move from around 370 odd levels to closer to around that's 1460. So currently, the stock is facing a short-term resistance near the levels of around 1290. However, it's yet consolidating, and I wouldn't say that it looks weak. And since it's consolidating near the higher range, so I would say it is yet a good buy at current levels. And one can maintain a stop loss below the levels of around 1150 and look for a target of closer to 1410.
All right, despite a spectacular rise, Forum is expecting some more up move coming in for Electra Green Tech. But let's move on and let's talk about Vodafone Idea, because that particular counter, after seeing a good up move over the last 1 week, today the stock is actually down in excess of about 5.5%. And why is that? Because the company has come out with a clarification on the news reports that were reports that were circulating with regards to the company. They've clarified that it is not in talks to sell stake to US companies like Verizon as well as Amazon, or even for the matter of fact Starlink. What the company is saying that they are not in talks with anyone. They've not held any discussion with anyone with regards to the takeover. Apart from that, on Saturday there was a news that the company had said that it had made the requisite payment of about 1,701 crore rupees, including the interest to DOT towards the installment for the 2022 spectrum auction. But the reason why the stock is falling is the fact that it's come out with a clarification that they are not in talks with any of the US companies in order for a stake sale or even for the matter of fact takeover. So on back of that, you can see the stock down by about 5.6% as we speak.
Let's move on and talk about textile stocks. And Ankita, why are these the textile back in focus today? What's the news, though?
So Vinny, the textile pack is in focus today on the back of the export update for the month of August. Now, a couple of names here to mention. First up is Raymond, whose exports grew by 46% on a year-on-year basis, and they saw a decline of 22% on a month-on-month basis in the month of August. And the back of that, that stock is down 4%. Now we'll go to Indo-Count Industries, whose exports grew by 23% on a year-on-year basis and saw an uptick of 87% on a month-on-month basis. And on the back of that, we are seeing an uptick of 1% coming in on that particular counter. We'll move to Gujarat Ambuja, whose exports grew by 91% on a year-on-year basis, but on a month-on-month basis, it was up 17% in the month of August. And also we saw Reliance Chemotex, whose export degrew by 44% on a year-on-year basis and was down a good 39% on a month-on-month basis as well. Also, SP Apparels, its exports grew by 6.1% on a year-on-year basis and 9% on a month-on-month basis, much below the other peers that saw an uptick in their exports. And on the back of that, that particular stock is down a good 3.3%. So this entire textile pack will be in focus today on the back of the export update coming for the month of August.
Right, and that is supposed to be Indo-Count and not Indoco Remedies, I believe. But on that note, thank you so much, Ankita, Harsh, Foram, as well as Samit for joining us on the show and taking our viewers to all the stocks buzzing in trade. And with that, we are at the end of this edition of Market Fatafat. But we at Times Network bring to you Mirror Now Summit Chhattisgarh, which will be held on Wednesday, that is 20th of September, in Raipur. And as India's most influential news network, Times Network channels have been a catalyst for change and action for a better India. With the theme, Path to Progress, we aim to showcase the journey that is leading the change in the sustainable agriculture revolution and enhancing farming methods for economic growth. Chhattisgarh's commitment to enhancing healthcare is evident, with a focus on accessible, high-quality medical services for a healthier future. At the Mirror Now Summit, we will discuss and deliberate with state leaders and authorities to define a holistic development agenda. So get ready to catch all the action here on Times Network.